The alarm bells rang through Kepler Station like a death song. Commander Yuki pressed her four-fingered hand against the cold metal wall and felt the vibrations run through her blue skin. Another explosion. The enemy ships were getting closer. "Report," she called out as she ran into the command center. Her long tail helped her balance as she moved fast through the narrow hallway. 23 enemy ships now, Commander," said Officer Talon. His green eyes were wide with fear. "They destroyed 2 more of our defense platforms. We only have 4 left." Yuki looked at the big screen that showed space around their station. Red dots filled the darkness. Each red dot was a Vorthak warship. Each ship was 3 times bigger than anything the station had for defense. The Vorthak ships looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh. They moved in perfect formation like a swarm of deadly bugs. "How many people are still on the station?" Yuki asked. 50,000, Commander. Mostly families and workers. The evacuation ships left 3 weeks ago, but these people had nowhere to go. Yuki closed her eyes for a moment. 50,000 lives. Men, women, children from 12 different alien species. All counting on her to keep them safe. All trapped because the Galactic Council had decided their lives were not worth saving. "Send another distress signal," she ordered. "All frequencies. Someone must help us." "Commander," Talon said quietly, "we have sent 200 distress signals. No one is coming. The Council voted. They will not fight the Vorthak for 1 mining station." The station shook again. This time the lights went out for 3 seconds before the backup power kicked in. Yuki heard crying from somewhere in the distance. Probably children scared by the noise. Dr. Hana walked into the command center. She was tall and thin, with silver skin that shined under the emergency lights. Her species, the Keth, were known for being very smart, but even Hana looked worried now. "Commander, I finished studying the Vorthak transmission we caught yesterday," Hana said. Her voice was calm, but Yuki could hear the fear underneath. "What did you find?" "They are not here just to take over our station. They want something else." Hana touched her tablet and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed the inside of a Vorthak ship. "Look at this." The hologram showed rows and rows of glass containers. Inside each container was a living brain floating in green liquid. Wires connected each brain to a central computer. "What am I looking at?" Yuki asked, though she was afraid she already knew. "Neural harvesting," Hana said. "The Vorthak take the brains of smart species and use them to make their ships smarter. They keep the brains alive and force them to think for the Vorthak collective." Officer Talon made a sick sound. "You mean—" "Yes," Hana nodded. "They are not here to kill us quickly. They want to cut out our brains and use them as living computers. Every person on this station." The command center became very quiet. Everyone stared at the hologram. 50,000 people. 50,000 brains that would be cut out and put in jars. "How long do we have?" Yuki asked. "Our shields are down to 30%, Talon reported. "At this rate, maybe 6 hours before they break through." Yuki walked to the big window that looked out into space. She could see the Vorthak ships getting closer. Their biomechanical hulls seemed to breathe like living things. Weapons that looked like giant claws pointed at the station. "Keep sending. Distress signal," she said. "Every minute, every second." "Commander, no one is coming," Talon said. "The Council made it clear. We are on our own." "I know," Yuki said, "but we keep trying anyway." An old alien named Roku walked slowly into the command center. He was very old, even for his species. His people lived for 300 years, and Roku was close to that age. His gray skin was covered in the traditional tattoos of his people, and his 6 arms moved carefully as he used his walking stick. "Commander," Roku said in his slow, deep voice, "I have been listening to the transmissions." "Roku, you should be in the safe area with the other elders," Yuki said. "There is no safe area, child. We all know this." Roku moved closer to the window. "But I want to tell you something. A story my grandfather told me when I was young." "Roku, this is not the time for stories," Officer Talon said. "No," Yuki said. "Let him speak." "What story, old one?" Roku looked out at the enemy ships. "Long ago, when I was a small one, my grandfather told me about a young species. They came from a small planet in a spiral arm far from here, a blue and green world with one moon. I have never heard of such a place, Hana said. Few have. But the story says this young species was different from all others. They were not the strongest, they were not the smartest, they were not the fastest, but they had something else. What? Yuki asked. They never gave up, never. When their friends called for help, they came. No matter how far, no matter how dangerous, no matter if they would die. Roku touched the window with one of his old hands. The story says they had a saying, "We leave no one behind." The station shook again. More alarms started ringing. "Shields at 20%, someone yelled. "That is just a story, Roku," Talon said. "Old myths to make children feel better." "Maybe," Roku said. "But I sent a special signal today, on old frequencies that few remember, to the spiral arm where the story says they live." "You did what?" Yuki asked. "If the story is true, they will hear it. If the story is false, we lose nothing." Another explosion. The lights flickered again. "Shields at 15%, Talon reported. "They are breaking through." Yuki looked at her people. They were all scared, but they were trying to be brave. She thought about the 50,000 people on the station. Families holding their children. Workers who just wanted to go home. All of them about to have their brains cut out and put in jars. "All defense platforms, fire everything you have," she ordered. "Make them work for it." "Yes, Commander." As the battle began, Yuki looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, maybe, was a young species that never gave up. A species that came when people called for help. But probably not. Probably they would all die here alone while the galaxy watched and did nothing. The Vorthak ships moved closer, and their terrible harvest was about to begin. 6 months before the siege of Kepler Station began, Admiral Minho sat in his office on Luna Base, looking at reports that made his head hurt. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 2 years ago, and it was not going well. The other alien species treated humans like children. They gave Earth a small piece of space to patrol, mostly empty areas with a few mining stations. When humans tried to suggest new ideas in council meetings, the aliens would smile and nod, then ignore everything. They said, "Admiral," his assistant called through the comm system, "you have a priority message from the council." Minho pressed a button on his desk. A hologram appeared showing Ambassador Vex, a tall alien with purple skin and 3 eyes. Vex was the council's liaison to Earth, which meant he was the one who told humans what they could and could not do. "Admiral Minho," Vex said in his cold voice, "the Council has reviewed your request for better weapons and faster ships. The answer is no. Ambassador, our current ships are too slow for deep space patrol. If something happens far from Earth, we cannot help in time. Humans do not need faster ships. Your patrol area is small and safe. Nothing important happens there." Vex's 3 eyes blinked one at a time. "The Council has decided humans are not ready for advanced technology. With respect, Ambassador, how will we prove we are ready if you never give us a chance? That is not your concern. Follow your orders, Admiral. Patrol your assigned area. Do not interfere with Council business." The hologram disappeared. Minho leaned back in his chair and rubbed his eyes. 2 years of this. 2 years of being treated like Earth was some backward planet that could not be trusted with real responsibility. His comm system beeped again. "Admiral, Captain Sujin is here to see you." "Send her in." Captain Sujin walked into the office. She was young for a starship captain, only 35 years old, but she was the best pilot in the human space navy. Her ship, the HSN Indomitable, was Earth's newest and most advanced warship. The aliens still called it primitive compared to their vessels. "Admiral, I have news about the quantum torch drive tests," Sujin said as she sat down. "Good news or bad news?" "Both. The good news is it works. We can travel faster than any ship in the galaxy. The bad news is it might kill us." Minho smiled a little. "Explain." "The quantum torch lets us jump across space instantly, but the energy requirements are huge. We have to push our reactor beyond all safety limits. One mistake and the ship explodes." "So, it is dangerous." Very dangerous, but Admiral, if someone needed help far away, we could reach them in days instead of months. Before Minho could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the base. Red lights flashed on the walls. Admiral to command center immediately, came a voice over the speakers. Minho and Sujin ran through the hallways of Luna Base. Other officers were running too, all heading to the command center. When they arrived, they found chaos. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Yunbi, the communications officer. "We are receiving a distress signal." "From where?" "That is the problem, sir. It is coming from outside our patrol area. Way outside. About 2,000 light-years from Earth." Minho looked at the star map. A red dot was blinking far, far away from Earth's small territory. "What kind of signal?" "It is strange, sir. The signal is using old frequencies." "Very old. But the message is clear. A mining station is under attack. 50,000 civilians are trapped." 50,000, Sujin said. "That is more people than we have on Luna Base." "Sir," Yunbi continued, "the signal keeps repeating. They are asking for help from anyone who can hear them." "Have we contacted the council?" Minho asked. "Yes, sir. They responded 30 minutes ago." Yunbi handed him a datapad. Minho read the council's message out loud. "Kepler Mining Station is outside council. Protection zone. Situation regrettable but acceptable loss. All species advised, do not interfere with Vorthak operations. This is final decision." "Acceptable loss?" Sujin said angrily. 50,000 people is an acceptable loss?" "The council has made their decision," Minho said quietly, but his hands were shaking as he held the datapad. "Admiral," said Chief Engineer Do-hyun as he walked into the command center. He was a big man with gentle eyes, but now he looked upset. "I heard about the distress signal. My team is ready to prepare the Indomitable for long-range mission." "The council said no interference," Minho reminded them. "The council is not human," Sujin said. "Admiral, we have to do something." "Captain, it is 2,000 light-years away. Even with the quantum torch drive, it would take weeks to get there." "And you said yourself the drive might kill us." "Yes, sir. But those people are going to die if no one helps them." Minho walked to the big window that looked out at Earth. His home planet looked beautiful and peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. Down there were 8 billion humans living their lives, working, raising families, dreaming of the future. "Sir," Yunbi said, "we are getting more details about the enemy. They are called the Vorthak. According to our files, they have conquered 12 different species." "What do they do to the people they conquer?" Minho asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Yunbi looked sick. "They cut out their brains and use them as living computers for their ships." The command center became very quiet. Everyone stared at Yunbi. "All 50,000 people?" Do-hyun asked. "Yes, sir. Men, women, children. They keep the brains alive in jars and force them to think for the Vorthak forever." Sujin slammed her hand on a table. "We cannot let that happen." "Captain, it is not our decision," Minho said. But his voice did not sound sure. "Yes, it is," Sujin said. "Admiral, the council treats us like children because they think we are weak. They think we only care about ourselves. But what if they are wrong? What if we show them what humans really are?" "And what are humans really, Captain?" "We are the species that does not give up. We are the species that helps people even when it is dangerous. We are the species that believes every life matters." General Hyunwoo walked into the command center. He was an old soldier who had fought in Earth's last war before they joined the council. His hair was gray and his face was covered in scars, but his eyes were still sharp. "General," Minho said, "you heard about the situation?" "I heard. I also heard the council's response." Hyunwoo looked at the star map. 50,000 people. "Yes, sir." "Including children?" "Yes, sir." Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Admiral, I have been a soldier for 40 years. I have seen war. I have seen death. But I have never seen humans abandon innocent people to monsters. The council ordered us not to interfere." "The council is not human," Hyunwoo said, repeating Sujin's words. "Admiral, I am old. I have seen what happens when good people do nothing while evil people hurt the innocent. It does not end well. General, if we disobey the Council, Earth could be thrown out of the galactic community. And if we obey the Council, 50,000 people will have their brains cut out and put in jars, including children. Hyunwoo looked directly at Minho. Admiral, what kind of species do we want to be? Minho closed his eyes. 2,000 light-years away, people were dying. Children were crying for their parents. Families were holding each other as monsters came to harvest their minds. But if Earth helped them, the Council might punish the entire human race. 8 billion people on Earth might suffer because of his decision. All senior officers report to Conference Room 1, Minho announced. We are going to vote. As they walked to the conference room, Sujin said quietly, Admiral, what do you think the right choice is? Minho stopped walking. He looked out another window at Earth, then at the star map showing the blinking red dot so far away. Captain, the right choice is to help people who need help, but I do not know if it is the smart choice. Sometimes the right choice and the smart choice are different things, Sujin said. Yes. And sometimes you have to choose what kind of person you want to be. The conference room door opened, and Earth's military leaders walked inside to decide the fate of 50,000 people they had never met, on a world they had never seen, in a part of space they had never visited. The clock on the wall showed they had been talking for 6 hours already. 2,000 light-years away, time was running out. The vote was not close. Every officer in the room said yes. Even the ones who looked scared said yes. General Hyunwoo spoke for everyone when he said, We do not abandon people. That is what makes us human. 2 hours later, Captain Sujin stood on the bridge of the HSN Indomitable. Her crew was working fast to prepare for the longest, most dangerous journey any human had ever attempted. 2,000 light-years across the galaxy to save people they had never met. Engineering report, Sujin called out. Chief Engineer Do-hyun's voice came through the comm system from deep inside the ship. Captain, I am pushing everything beyond safe limits. The quantum torch drive is ready, but I cannot promise we will survive the trip. How dangerous is it? If I had to guess, I would say we have a 60% chance of making it there alive. Lieutenant Yoonbi, who was now the ship's tactical officer, looked up from her station. Captain, those are not good odds. No, they are not, Sujin agreed. Anyone who wants to leave the ship can do so now. No shame in it. This mission is volunteer only. She waited. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Finally, young Ensign Jinwoo said, Captain, where would we go? This is our ship. These are our people, and those civilians need help. Sujin smiled. All right then, Do-hyun, start the quantum torch drive. The ship began to shake. Through the windows, Sujin could see space itself bending around them. The stars stretched into long lines of light. Then everything went white. When Sujin woke up, she was on the floor of the bridge. Her head hurt, and her ears were ringing. Around, her other crew members were getting up slowly. Status report, she said as she pulled herself back into the captain's chair. We are alive, Yoonbi reported. That is the good news. The bad news is we only traveled 500 light-years. We need to make 3 more jumps like that. Do-hyun, can the ship handle 3 more jumps? I do not know, Captain. The reactor is running very hot. The hull has stress fractures in 12 places, but the quantum torch drive is still working. Sujin looked at the star map. They were farther from Earth than any human had ever traveled, but they were still 1,500 light-years from Kepler Station. How long until we can make the next jump? 6 hours to cool down the reactor, Do-hyun replied. During the 6-hour wait, Sujin gathered her officers in the conference room. We need to talk about what we are going to do when we get there. If we get there, Yoonbi said quietly. When we get there, Sujin said firmly. According to the intelligence files, the Vorthak have at least 20 ships around Kepler Station. We have 1 ship. 1 ship against 20, said Lieutenant Bongjun, the weapons officer. Captain, our railguns are powerful, but not that powerful. Then we do not fight fair, Sujin said. We fight smart. Yoonbi, what do we know about Vorthak ships? Yunbi touched her tablet and a hologram appeared. It showed a Vorthak warship, a horrible mixture of machine and living tissue. They are biomechanical, part machine, part living creature. They are very strong, but they have one weakness. What weakness? They are all connected to each other through a neural network, like a hive mind. If we can disrupt that network, they will be confused. How do we disrupt it? Electromagnetic pulse, a big one. But Captain, we do not have weapons that can make a pulse that big. Su-jin was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. Yes, we do. Do-hyun, what happens if we overload the quantum torch drive? It explodes, Captain. Very big explosion. But before it explodes, it would create a massive electromagnetic pulse, right? Yes, but Captain, if we overload the drive, we die too. Not if we do it right. What if we overload it just a little bit? Make it create the pulse but not explode. Do-hyun thought about this. It might work. But the timing would have to be perfect. 1 second too long and we all die. Can you do it? I can try, Captain. The second quantum jump was worse than the first. This time 2 crew members did not wake up. They were alive but unconscious. The ship's medical officer, Dr. Min-young, said they would probably be okay, but they needed to get to a real hospital soon. Another 500 light-years, Yunbi reported. 1,000 to go. Hull damage? Su-jin asked. Bad, Captain. We have holes in 3 sections. I had to seal off the entire cargo bay. Do-hyun, can we make 2 more jumps? There was a long pause before the engineer answered. Captain, I do not think the ship will survive 2 more jumps. Maybe 1 more. Maybe. Su-jin looked at the star map again. If they could only make 1 more jump, they would still be 500 light-years from Kepler Station. Too far to help. Wait, she said. What if we do not make 2 normal jumps? What if we make 1 very long jump? Captain, that is impossible. The power requirements... Do-hyun, we are already doing the impossible. We are crossing the galaxy in a ship that should have fallen apart hours ago. What would happen if we used all our power at once? Emergency power, life support power, everything? We would die, Captain. No air, no heat, no gravity. We would freeze to death in space. How long would it take? To freeze to death? About 10 minutes. And how long to travel 500 light-years with maximum power? Do-hyun was quiet for a long time. Maybe 8 minutes, if the ship does not explode. Su-jin looked around the conference room at her officers. They all understood what she was suggesting. Use all the ship's power for 1 final jump, arrive at Kepler Station with no life support, no power, and no way to get home. That is suicide, Captain, Bong-joon said. Maybe, but if we do not try, 50,000 people die for sure. Captain, Yunbi said. Even if we get there, we will have no power for weapons. We will have 1 weapon. The ship itself. We ram the Vorthak flagship at full speed. That will kill us all. Yes, but it might save 50,000 people. The Miaida room was very quiet. Finally, Dr. Min-young spoke. Captain, I joined the Space Navy to help people. If this is how I can help the most people, then I am ready. 1 by 1, every officer agreed. They would use all the ship's power for 1 final jump. They would arrive at Kepler Station and use their ship as a weapon. They would probably die, but maybe they could save the people at the station. All right, Su-jin said. Do-hyun, prepare for maximum power jump. Everyone else, put on your emergency suits. We are going to need them. As the crew prepared for what might be their final jump, Su-jin sent a message back to Earth. Admiral Minho, this is Captain Su-jin. We are about to make our final jump to Kepler Station. If we do not survive, please tell Earth what we tried to do. Tell them we did not abandon those people. Tell them we kept the promise that humans always keep. She paused, then added, And Admiral, if we do not make it, please send more ships. Send the whole fleet if you have to. Those people need help, and humans do not give up. The quantum torch drive began to charge for the final time. Through the ship's windows, the stars began to bend and stretch. The hull groaned under the stress. Somewhere in the ship, something exploded. Jump in 10 seconds, Do-hyun announced. All power to the quantum torch drive. Life support shutting down in 3, 2, 1. The lights went out. The air stopped moving. The artificial gravity disappeared. In the darkness and cold of space, the HSN Indomitable made its final leap across the galaxy. 8 minutes later, they would either be at Kepler Station or they would be dead. Time would tell which one. Captain Sujin woke up floating in the dark. Her breath came out in white clouds. Ice crystals covered the inside of her helmet. The ship was so cold she could not feel her fingers. "Status report," she said through the comm system. "We are alive, Captain," came Unbi's weak voice. "That is about all I can say right now." "Where are we?" "Kepler Station. We made it." Sujin looked through the bridge window. In the distance, she could see a large space station covered in lights. Around it were 23 alien ships that looked like giant metal insects. The Vorthak fleet. "Emergency power," Sujin ordered. "Just enough for weapons and engines. Captain, we used all our power for the jump," Do-hyun said. "We have maybe 10 minutes of emergency power left. Then we make those 10 minutes count. All crew to battle stations." The emergency lights came on, casting red shadows throughout the ship. The crew moved slowly in the cold, but they moved. Everyone knew this was their last chance. On Kepler Station, Commander Yuki watched her defense screens. Only one platform was left. The Vorthak had destroyed everything else. Their ships were moving closer, ready to begin the harvest. "Commander," Officer Talon said, "I am reading something strange. There is a new ship near the station." "What kind of ship?" "I do not know. It is not in our database. It just appeared out of nowhere." Dr. Hana looked at her scanner. "The ship is very small compared to the Vorthak vessels, and it is not moving. Is it dead?" "I do not think so. I am reading very low power, but it is still active." Old Roku walked slowly to the window. His 6 arms were shaking, but not from fear, from excitement. "Commander," he said quietly, "I think my signal worked." "What are you talking about, Old One?" "Look at the ship. Look at its design. It is not like any ship we know." Yuki looked through the telescope. The unknown ship was long and thin, with a white hull marked with blue and red symbols. It looked nothing like the organic curves of alien ships. It looked manufactured, built by machines instead of grown. "That is impossible," Talon said. "No one answered our distress calls." "Someone did," Roku said with a smile. On the HSN Indomitable, Sujin looked at the tactical display. 23 enemy ships, each 3 times the size of her vessel. On any normal day, this would be suicide, but this was not a normal day. "Bongjun, what weapons do we have?" "Railguns are operational. We have 12 kinetic torpedoes. And Captain, I rigged the cargo bay like you asked. If we ram something, it will explode." "Good. Yunbi, scan the enemy ships, find their flagship." "There, Captain. The big one in the center. It is twice the size of the others." Sujin studied the Vorthak formation. They were arranged in a perfect circle around the station like predators surrounding prey. Their ships pulsed with organic light, and she could see weapon pods opening like flowers. "They know we are here," Yunbi reported. "They are turning toward us. Let them come." "Do-hyun, can you give me that electromagnetic pulse we talked about?" "Yes, Captain, but remember, we only get one chance. If I overload the quantum torch drive, it will either create the pulse or it will explode and kill us all. Do it." Deep in the ship's engine room, Do-hyun began overloading the quantum torch drive. The entire ship started to shake. Lightning began to dance across the hull. The Vorthak ships moved closer. They were not worried about one small ship. They had conquered 12 species. They had never lost a battle. What could one primitive vessel do against their mighty fleet? They were about to find out. "Pulse ready, Captain," Do-hyun announced. "Fire." The quantum torch drive exploded outward in a wave of pure electromagnetic energy. The pulse spread through space like a scream of light and electricity. When it hit the Vorthak ships, their biomechanical systems went crazy. The aliens had never experienced anything like it. Their neural networks, which connected all their ships together, overloaded instantly. Suddenly, ships that had worked together for years could not talk to each other. Captains who had shared the same mind for decades were alone in their own heads. On the Vorthak flagship, the alien commander felt pain for the first time in 50 years. The hive mind was gone. He was alone, afraid, and confused. "Now!" Sujin shouted. "All weapons, fire at will!" The HSN Indomitable came alive with violence. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speed. Kinetic torpedoes streaked toward enemy ships. The human vessel moved like a dancer, spinning and diving between the confused Vorthak ships. The aliens tried to fight back, but their ships kept shooting at each other instead of the human vessel. Without their neural network, they could not tell friend from enemy. Sujin's ship rammed through a Vorthak cruiser, tearing it in half. The cargo bay exploded as planned, sending debris in all directions. 3 more enemy ships were damaged by the explosion. "Captain," Bongjun reported, "we just destroyed 4 enemy ships. Keep firing. Target their weapons." The battle became a dance of destruction. The small human ship moved between the giant alien vessels, firing constantly. Every shot counted. Every torpedo found its target. On Kepler Station, everyone was watching in amazement. "How is one ship fighting 23? Talon asked. "Look how they move," Dr. Hanna said. "They are not following any tactical doctrine we know. They fight like they are angry." "They are," Roku said proudly. "They came from the other side of the galaxy to help people they have never met." "Of course they are angry." The Vorthak fleet was falling apart. Ships collided with each other. Weapons fired, randomly. Some ships tried to run away, but the human vessel chased them down. Finally, only the flagship remained. It was huge and powerful, but it was alone. Its crew was scared and confused without their hive mind. "Captain," Yunbi said, "we are out of torpedoes. Railguns are overheated. We have nothing left." "We have one thing left," Sujin said. "We have us." She pointed the ship directly at the Vorthak flagship. "All power to engines. We are going to ram them." "Captain, that will destroy us too," Bongjun said. "I know, but it will save 50,000 people." The HSN Indomitable accelerated toward the enemy flagship. The Vorthak ship tried to turn away, but it was too slow. At the last moment, Sujin activated the ship's emergency beacon. The signal reached Admiral Minho on Earth just as the 2 ships collided. The explosion lit up space like a new star. When the light faded, both ships were gone. On Kepler Station, everyone was quiet. The brave humans had saved them all, but at the cost of their own lives. Then Talon shouted, "Commander, new contacts!" Through the telescope, Yuki could see more ships arriving, dozens of them. They had the same white hulls and blue-red markings as the first ship. "It is the human fleet," Roku said with tears in his old eyes. "They came. All of them." Admiral Minho's voice came over the communication system. "This is the Human Space Navy. We received your distress call. We are here to help." The rescue ships surrounded Kepler Station. Medical teams beamed over to help the wounded. Engineers began repairing the damage. And in the station's central plaza, a memorial was built for Captain Sujin and her crew. The plaque read, "They came from across the galaxy to save strangers. They kept the promise that humans always keep. The galaxy would never forget. The Vorthak would never recover." And across the stars, every species learned that there was one people who would always answer when someone called for help. The humans had arrived, and everything was different now.